Ahead for us this half hour, rethinking drinking. One of Governor Hochul's proposals could spur big changes in New York State's alcohol laws. We're going to talk with a state senator who has some plans. Plus, place your bets. Mobile sports betting goes live in this state in less than 16 hours. We're going to get a rundown of what changes happen at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And bring on the Jets. The Bills getting ready for the visitors from New Jersey as Buffalo looks to clinch the division title for the second straight year. Our weekly chat with Vic Carucci in just a bit. Thanks for joining us on the Town Hall tonight. First up, two big issues from the state capitol in Albany with big implications for a lot of you watching right now. Mobile sports gambling now legalized and starting tomorrow morning, and also the potential for big changes to the state's alcohol laws. So first, starting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, 4 licensed sports gambling operators will be allowed to take part in starting bets for all pro games as well as all non-New York college sports. In terms of alcohol laws, Governor Kathy Hochul proposed in her State of the State permanently allowing takeout and delivery of booze from restaurants, something that was popular early in the pandemic. Well, it looks like that may end up being part of a larger bill to overhaul the state's liquor laws. That's where we'll start. We're joined right now by State Senator James Skoufis, a Democrat who chairs the Investigations and Government Operations Committee. It oversees alcohol and beverage control laws. And Senator, we welcome you back here to our town hall. You tweeted this morning that any return of alcohol to go should be part of a larger overhaul of the state's alcohol laws. We're wondering, what else do you think needs to be changed?
It's a great question, and thanks for having me back. This is an area of state law that is extremely antiquated. The current ABC laws, as we call them, alcohol and beverage control laws, would make prohibitionists blush. They are so antiquated here in New York State. And so my team and I, over the past number of months, in anticipation of making this a significant issue in 2022, we've actually put together about 38 reforms that we are looking to advance. We're still fine-tuning some of them before we introduce them as a package. But to give you a flavor of some other big and small items that we're looking at beyond to go. Right now, there's an incredible backlog, huge administrative problems at the State Liquor Authority, where you've got bars and restaurants and taverns who are waiting so many months to get a legal appropriate liquor license. And so we need to clean up the administration at the SLA. We have dry communities. People don't realize there are entire towns and communities that are dry here in New York because New York State law allows them to be dry. And I think in the year 2022, someone wants to go out and buy a drink in a restaurant or go to a liquor store, they should be able to do that in any community here in New York State. I want to look at bring your own booze laws. Right now, they're very restrictive. I want to look at all you can drink laws. Right now, those are completely prohibited. All you can drink deals here in New York State. Right down to some smaller items. Let's allow for some additional products to be sold in liquor stores. Right now, the law prohibits basically anything except for wine and spirits from being sold in liquor stores. How about we let them sell some seltzer? So you don't have to make one trip to the liquor store and then one trip to get mixers down the street in the grocery store. Delivery fees to restaurants are outrageous coming from wholesalers. You can't even buy alcohol on Christmas Day. That's how crazy the state law is. We prohibit sales of alcohol on Christmas Day here in New York. So we're looking at a lot. And I think that as we talk about alcohol to go, which is a worthwhile conversation, I'm very open to legalizing, it needs to be part of a broader, more comprehensive reform.
I want to talk about some of the pushback. So when you talk about some of the individual items that you mentioned, the liquor store lobby, for instance, has been opposed to the alcohol to go. But when you talk about a bigger plate of items, dozens of them, as you just mentioned, is that a way to get more buy-in from all the disparate interests out there?
Yes. And in addition to being the right thing to do, I think it makes to go and some other more difficult reforms more palatable. Because if there is a give here, but there is a takeover here, you can usually make people okay with the give. And so, that's what we're trying to do with a package here is, yes, try and overhaul this super antiquated system, but it also allows us to go to stakeholders who might have a problem with X, Y, or Z. They might be okay or even benefit from A, B, and C, and on the whole, they can live with it. And so I think it's the right thing to do. I think it also, makes this more palatable to be able to get through the legislature.
Senator, I'm out of time, but so real quickly, is this something that gets done this session? Can you move that quickly?
I believe so. We're just starting session. We have 6 months. I am very optimistic that we can get significant comprehensive reform done this year.
Something we'll be following very closely. Senator James Skoufis is a Democrat representing part of the Hudson Valley. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, and cheers.
And now to the news that, yes, you will be able to bet on the Bills this weekend from your phone. Mobile sports betting goes live tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, despite a big fight over the last few years from opponents who say that the measure brings with it a big risk of addiction from people who don't even have to physically go into a casino or a sports book anymore. So we want to address that before we get into the discussion here. We took that question about gambling addiction to Senator James Adabo. He chairs the state's Committee on Racing, Gaming, and Wagering. He says because mobile betting is already live in states like New Jersey, this new law could actually help deal with addiction.
Those are residents unsafely going to New Jersey, because if we ever wanted to help someone with an addiction, we didn't know who they were. They were going to Jersey, Pennsylvania, they were doing it illegally. Now, because we're regulating it safely in New York, we can help these individuals by monitoring their activity on a New York app.
And he says that there are other safeguards in this legislation, like credit card caps, and gambling addiction services will get 1.2% of the revenue that the state takes in. If you need help with a gambling addiction, you can reach out to Best Self Behavioral Health. They have a gambling program at 716-884-0888. But this is going live tomorrow, so we want to get some insight right now from Zachary Zagger. He is senior reporter for sports and betting at Law 360. Joins us live. Zachary, it's great to have you here. Let me start with kind of the basics. What will New Yorkers be able to do tomorrow once this goes live that they can't do right now?
Hi, yes, thanks for having me. Well, for the first time, New Yorkers will be able, New Yorkers over the age of 21, that is, will be able to go on using their phones to place sports bets in the state legally. And what this will require them is they'll have to download the apps, whether it's FanDuel or DraftKings or BetRivers, and they can already do that now to be ready to go for the launch tomorrow. I know some of them are offering some promotions, but they'll be able to place sports bets using their mobile phones for the first time legally in the state, and just in time for the end of the NFL regular season and the playoffs, and as well as the college football playoff national championship on Monday.
Just a few minutes after yesterday's announcement naming kind of these four that are now approved, the Bills already had a press release out saying that they're partnering with FanDuel to be their official betting partner. We know that that company already has a physical sports book in the arena of the Phoenix Suns where they have a partnership. So people are obviously wondering, could that be in the future for a new Bills stadium as those negotiations are happening?
Not as the law currently stands. The deal between FanDuel and the Bills was more of a promotional, cross-promotional marketing deal. We saw a similar deal with Caesars with MGM and the New York Rangers and the New York Knicks to get their advertising and branding within the stadium to reach out to those customers, those potential users. But for the most part, I mean, it's kind of an irrelevant distinction on some level, because fans outside the stadium or perhaps in the stadium will be able to place bets using their mobile phone. Using their mobile phone. There are some in-person sports betting lounges at commercial casinos in the state as well as at the Native American casinos. But right now, the way the law was written, mobile sports betting is allowed, but only if the servers are located on the grounds of those commercial casinos. And so that's technically the only place where betting is allowed if you're not using your mobile phone.
Yeah, you don't need to go into a physical place when you can do it right from the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
Finally, we know that work is never done on something like this. There are lobbyists hard at work right now trying to make changes. And what do you think are kind of the next steps in all of this in Albany?
Yeah, I think there's a few areas. First of all, it's addressing, maybe perhaps opening the door for this in-person betting. Part of that may require a constitutional amendment. There's been some questions even about daily fantasy sports the way this is all structured, whether or not that runs afoul of the state's constitutional prohibition or limitation on gambling, which would really only allow gambling at the casino. So they may want to address that moving forward to avoid any constitutional issues. Also, right now, New York is different from some of the other states like Pennsylvania and New Jersey in that the tax rate is at 51%. Could be great for the state. Lawmakers expect that this could eventually generate as much as $500 million in revenue for the state, but it's also a huge amount of taxes for these operators to pay. So we'll see how big this market can be when it's limited, when the operators are limited by this tax rate. What kind of bets are they going to be able to offer? Are they going to be able to offer the same kind of bets that they're able to offer in New Jersey and Pennsylvania? So that's a big question moving forward. We'll have to see. That's something they may want to address. Also, this right now, you're not going to be able to bet on New York college teams. So you won't be able to bet on Syracuse or the University of Buffalo right now because that's in the state legislation over concerns about integrity of college sports. But I know New Jersey has a similar limitation, and they've already looked at potentially changing that as well. Obviously, in New York, there'll be big demand to bet on, those local teams. So it may be something they want to address moving forward, depending on how this all rolls out and whether or not there is real concerns for the integrity of college sports.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts, no doubt. We're all seeing those Caesars commercials. They're ubiquitous on the air right now, so a lot of questions. Yeah. Zachary Zagger is senior reporter for sports and betting at Law 360. Thanks for helping us understand this.
Yes, thanks for having me.